Chapter 21 Reina, Part 4, you are listening at novelfull.audio. I'm not going to lie. It was my first time going to a high-class restaurant. And right now, everything here is new to me. Reina and I were now alone on the top floor of a fancy restaurant. Now that I think about it, doesn't this seem like a date? Did we have to come here? I'm complaining. I was just wondering what Reina wanted. If she wanted to be alone, she could have requested everyone to leave her room. Don't you like rewards? Think of this as another one. If there was any other problem, count this as one of your prizes. It was a nice reward, but there are better things that I could get. Since we're here, I might do my best to enjoy it. Remember that butler that had told you to change? Reina stared at me blankly, wondering what I was getting at. Even though I pitied the man who loved her, I was still someone who wouldn't let someone talk down on me. He has feelings for you. This was the first time someone told me to back off from someone. It was something I never expected to happen. What are you getting at? My emotions were hurt to a certain degree. So, this meal at the restaurant could be used for this, right? Reina ignored me and looked at the menu. Seeing that she didn't react to anything, I looked at mine and wondered what to get. Wagyu beef, oysters, caviar, and many more were on the list. With my order in mind, I waited for Reina to decide what she wanted. Getting the waiter, Reina ordered some mumbo jumbo. In comparison, I had only gotten a wagyu and some spaghetti. I could have ordered more, but I was a respectable guest. While dinner was great, I couldn't help but think about Nene and the people living at my house. I wonder how they were doing. So, when do you want me to kill your brother? During his ceremony or before he arrives? Any option was available to me. Since Reina had made this contract, I didn't care how it was done. Do it when he officially takes the role as Burgess's head. That was cruel, but she had every right to do so. Her brother had stolen most of her joy. And he can't even make it up to her. What are you going to do after your brother is dead? Reina looked at me without moving an inch. She stared at me with empty eyes. Those eyes were similar to my past. One who will take their own life. Even if she had gained more emotions, could she truly feel happy? That wasn't for me to answer, but only for time to tell. After finishing our meal, both of us went back without a word. Reina immediately went to her room while I decided to take a bath. Night time approached, and I was trying to sleep in my bed. I knew the reason why I was unable to sleep. This request made by Reina left a bad taste in my mouth. As someone who only cares about personal gains, who would have thought I would hesitate to do something like this? But after this, the bad feeling would leave. We humans would only move on with our life. That is someone that everyone would have to accept. Rustle outside my room, I heard someone coming in. Closing my eyes and ready to activate my artifact, the door to my room opened. I heard the steps of the person coming in. The presence of the person's body was within body distance. Activating my artifact, I heard a metal sound from her barrier. Opening my eyes, I saw the butler in the garden earlier today. The knife that he was holding had hit the barrier I had made. I didn't think I would be assassinated while doing an assassination. Wow, to think there was someone much more narrow-minded than me. Shut up. Because of you. I got fired by Ms. Reina. So he got fired. I can't say I'm too surprised. Falling in love with your superior is a big no. Especially if your superior is a female. Shouldn't you thank me? Now your chances with Reina are much higher. Still, I didn't think you would be so stupid to attack someone that is so much higher than you in the overall ranking. Shut up. It's all your fault. I guess he wasn't listening for any more reason, with both of us attacking, using my skill. I set my curse at 10%. With us a few feet between, he dashed towards me and slipped on the ground. The knife he was holding on to earlier had slipped and cut a part of his legs. Arg! He wailed in pain, and with his scream, he attracted the attention of nearby servants. Was this called a self-snitch? It didn't take long for someone to appear. The servant saw that a person was bleeding in the legs. They called for help. From the looks of it, I will have a sleepless night. The ex-butler looked at me, full of hatred. He tried to get up with a knife stuck to his leg. His attempt was futile. Jennifer, who I met earlier today, was still awake. She looked a bit tired. I felt a bit bad for her wasting some time because of this. What happened? He tried to kill me but slipped and got himself injured. Jennifer frowned at the severity of this incident. With her continuing to ask questions, the long night had just begun. I'm sorry for everything that happened tonight. After hearing everything that had happened, Jennifer apologized in advance. You don't have to be sorry. I'm not bothered by it, at the very least. Panda.N0ve1.com being modest was the best thing I could do. Lashing out at Jennifer would only worsen it. I could use this chance to form more of a connection with the Burgess family. I would like to compensate you. But it is already late. I will do it after the ceremony. Go take a rest first. I knew there was a reason why I liked Jennifer. She knew what I liked. Chapter 22 Reina, Part 5, You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the incident, I took a short nap. Reina, outside my door, barged in without a second thought. Reina, it's still early. What are you doing? I was still tired from the lack of sleep. Reina then walked closer to me without saying a word. It was disturbing, not knowing what she was doing. What are you doing? Are you going to join me in bed? I made a joke attempting to lighten the mood. But I don't think it worked. Reina was looking down at me, staring at me without making a sound. Reina. What are you doing? Observing her, I wonder what Reina is thinking. Even getting to know her backstory, she was still impossible to figure out. With her crawling into my bed, I shoved her away. Nene had done something similar, I wasn't against it, but I needed to be paid. Pay me, and I will let you do what you were doing. I will assume that she agreed to my deal. Getting on my bed, she pushed me down, flat on the bed. Crawling on top of me, her head was now a few centimeters away from me. Reina then shoved her tongue inside of me. I thought she would do a simple kiss at most. In some ways, she was more aggressive than Nene. Her tongue is warm, even with her being inexperienced in these things. I still felt good about all of this. Did I inherit this from my mother? Or was this the same for everyone? With the bit of experience I learned from Nene, I guided Reina. Her clumsy movement had improved over time. Not only was she improving, but she became more aggressive, wanting more. The sound of us making out was only loud enough for us to hear. Reina's cheeks were flush, and her lust was increasing. How is it? After 20 seconds of kissing, we both needed to grasp for air. I wonder what had gotten her to do something like this. It feels different. But something I could get used to. Did she say, get used to? Don't tell me she is going to do more. Reina then went in for another kiss, disrupting my thought. Too occupied with Reina, the door to my room opened, and Jennifer came into the room. She was surprised to see Reina kissing me. Oh my! Jennifer had her hands in her mouth, dazzled by this situation. Even with Reina's mom watching, Reina continued. Gently getting Reina off of me, Reina realized what had happened. Her suppressed emotions could only suppress so much. Some shame had gotten to her, and her face turned red. You both could do it later. My husband would like to meet the both of you. Reina, I didn't think you would be that bold to get on top of your boyfriend. Jennifer began to tease Reina and was having fun doing so. Judging by how Jennifer looked, it was probably something rare for her to do. Could the both of you leave? I need to change. If I were to meet Reina's father, I would have to change into something good. I don't want to be glared at for being disrespectful. Changing my clothes into something presentable, I got out of the room. Both Reina and Jennifer were outside discussing something. Are you ready? I nodded, ready to meet the current head of the Burgess family. I wonder how he will react. I hope he isn't a stern man. I want to ask Reina what her father was like, but with Jennifer around, I rather not. With the three of us going back and forth with some random topic, we arrived at the office of Burgess's head. Going in, we saw a man sitting down on a chair working on a computer. Different from what I had expected, the man was somewhere in his 40s. He had black hair, opposite to his wife and daughter. Brown eyes that could be seen anywhere else. His build was normal. He was someone you could see anywhere else. He wasn't a muscly stern man, but more like a hard-working man. Like Reina's mother, his father was gentle around him. Someone who you could get along with. Of course, I couldn't let my guard down completely. Sweetie, our guest has arrived. Jennifer, getting her husband's attention, had his head turn over. Looking at Reina, he had a gentle smile. Getting a good look at her daughter's face, he then turned his attention to me. I'm Matthew Burgess, the current head. Despite my title of being the head, I'm only a figurehead. You could see my rank. You would normally think my rank is higher than it usually is. He was right. He was ranked 5B, much lower than his daughter and wife. He was a man that you could find anywhere else. But why was he telling me this? I'm Charles Anderson. You may call me Charles. Charles, it is. Then Charles, thank you for looking after my daughter. I'm also sorry for last night. Matthew apologized deeply for yesterday night. I wasn't all that tired, so I didn't care. In fact, I found the incident a little entertaining. Like what I said to your wife, you shouldn't worry about it. I haven't been harmed in any way. Are you sure? I nodded, confirming that I didn't care. After all, Jennifer would give me something after today. Before I could speak some more, some people outside had entered. Mr. Burgess, your son Tristan has arrived in London. He will be preparing for the ceremony right away. I see. Thank you for informing me. I want to talk to you a bit longer, but I'm busy now. I hope you will enjoy the ceremony, and please take care of my daughter. The words that he had spoken were that of a fatherly figure. I was a bit jealous and torn. I wasn't in a relationship with Reina, but Jennifer and Matthew wanted their daughter to be happy with me. Not only that, I'm going to have to kill their son. Chapter 23 Reina, Part 4, you are listening at novelfull.audio. After some time had passed, the ceremony with Tristan's ascension was about to begin. Currently, Reina has her arms linked toward mine. We were in a room with a large podium in the back of the room. This room could fill up thousands of people, with the ceremony being a party, everyone was here to enjoy. This was the perfect place for my skill to work. I was close enough to curse him, and with this many people, no one could link it directly to me. I know that I'm playing the role of her boyfriend, but don't you think this was too excessive? I could have released it, but that would give me some weird looks. There were already some news articles about Reina and me being engaged. Fuck. How did it get to this? If I broke the so-called engagement, my reputation would be ruined. Reina, are you sure you want to go through with the plan? Your mother and father would be devastated once that happens. I whispered to Reina only loud enough for her to hear. Reina closed her eyes and was in deep thought. Reina was currently hesitating. Now the time for her brother to die was near, she hesitated. This was normal, after all. Even after 6 years, there was still that little affection that Reina had for him. After a while, Tristan, Reina's brother, arrived. Tristan was standing on the podium. Like Reina and her mother, he had white hair and blue eyes. Ranking in 1400, he was pretty good. Tristan briefly glanced at Reina and me but took his eyes off after seeing Reina looking back. Along with his father, Matthew stood on the podium along with Tristan. At first glance, I couldn't tell if they were related in any way. "Good morning, everyone." Even though his voice wasn't loud, everyone who heard it listened. "Before we start the succession rites, I want everyone to enjoy today's party. Hope you'll have a nice day." Matthew left the podium and let Tristan take the lead. As the next head, he would have to stand his ground. "As my father said, I hope you will enjoy this party. Today is an important day for the Burgess family, and I, as the next head, will take this family to the next step. I won't take any more of your time, so enjoy the party." Like Matthew, Tristan also did a short speech. With no one else left talking, everyone here did their own thing. This was my first time at a party, and I didn't know what to do. It was a good thing Reina was still holding me. "Miss Burgess, I heard this man is your finance. You picked a good choice." Speaking to Reina, a random girl with a dress showed up. "I don't know who she is, but she seems to know Reina." "Miss Wells. I thought you were staying at the academy. Was she a student at our academy?" From how Reina worded it, she was probably a student from our school. There's no way I would miss a big event like this. Miss Wells shook her head and shrugged, showing she wouldn't miss something significant. "Charles Anderson. I didn't think you would be Miss Burgess's finance. There were many talks among women in our school about you." "Is that so?" I wasn't close to any other student, so this was something that I wouldn't know. With my looks and current standing, I wasn't stupid enough not to know why. They will disappear in due time. It's not like they could talk about me forever. I will be in the academy for a while, so the people talking about me will die down. Are you not so fond of fame? I have no interest in it. It would only bother me in the long run. The only good thing about fame is the gifts I receive from those who admire me. But from the looks of it, you will be more of the center of attention. Look who you're with." Ms. Walls took a glance at Reina and looked back at me. "After this, how do I get rid of this relationship with Reina? And who even spread the rumors of me being engaged to Reina? Anyways, I would like to talk more, but there are other people I have to attend to. Tata." And with that, Ms. Walls left us alone. Reina and I still had our arms crossed. How long are we going to be like this? "Reina, where are we going?" With us alone, Reina started to walk in a different direction. She hadn't said anything and had started to drag me around. Upon arriving on the party room's balcony, Reina stared at the sky. At the beginning of Ms. Walls's talk, Reina looked dazed. "Reina, what's wrong?" This time I put more force into my words. She should at least answer me. But even then, she frowned and walked away with me on the balcony. She better give me an explanation after this. Trusting what Reina would do, Reina went to her mother and wanted to talk. "An invasion will arrive in 5 minutes. Invasion. How does Reina know? Her skill, was it future sight? Or some predictability? With how everything is going on her way, I wouldn't be surprised if it is. An invasion. Thank you, honey, for the warning. Charles, could I ask you to protect my daughter? I won't let anything harm Reina. With her beside me, as long as there was no crossfire around us, we should be fine. If there was an invasion, we had to hide. Thank you. Now hide. I will make a quick call." Jennifer then stormed off and did her thing, and Reina had us running away from the party scene. There wasn't much of a place to hide within 5 minutes, but Reina tried her best to lead us to a safe place. Even after 5 minutes, Reina ran in a direction with a plan in mind. System initiated. Invasion will arrive in 1 minute, invaders left. 100, and with that, the crowd began to panic. Chapter 24 The beginning of an invasion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jennifer Burgess POV, this is looking dire. 5 minutes ago, my daughter had warned me of an attack. To think it would happen on this crucial day. I warned the guest in these 5 minutes and called for the International Defence Agency. The branch in the UK should be able to hold back the invaders long enough for the real big shot to show up. Invasion is now beginning. Prepare to defend your home world. Honey. Please stay safe. Third-person POV, in the sky, a cracked space began to open, and lizard people began to come out of the space. 100 landed on the ground and began attacking nearby people. Even with some preparation, it was hard for everyone to do something within a few minutes. A war had begun in the middle of London, and battles between top rankers of Earth and lizard people had started. Up against 100 lizards, people were 1,000 humans. The fight is already devastating, ranging from some millionth rank to a second-digit ranker. Buildings were being torn apart, and the people in the crossfire died. And this was only the beginning of a long battle. Ha ha ha. Look at our mighty Zartarians fight. These Earthlings will soon meet their demise. The perpetrator of this invasion was the leader of the Zartarians. His name is Olorino, and he is the strongest person in his race. He was about 2.2 m tall with blue skin. Dressed in heavy armor made of unknown materials with a crown, one would assume he is the king of his world. Coupled with his sword and aura, he was, without a doubt, powerful. Zarban. Don't waste your time on that weakling. Olorino roared, commanding Zarban, one of his men, to finish the fight. Zarban was fighting 10 people who were near his strength. My liege. I will do as you say. Zarban heard his king's command, and the aura of Zarban spiked. The 10 people that were fighting Zarban were now grimacing. I was going to enjoy the fight some more, but you heard my king. Don't blame me for your weakness. Don't you dare underestimate us. We won't go down that easily. One of the fighters fighting Zarban came out and said it. The situation looking for those 10 wasn't looking so good. Fighting Zarban, they were already at a disadvantage in terms of overall abilities. Now that Zarban was going for the kill, they had to step up their game. I like your spirit, but that's not something you could use to beat me. Zarban, who held a spear, came down, attacking the person nearest to him. Unable to react, the person's body was sliced in half. The scene was gory, against someone within the top 100. A person in the 10,000 rankings would have no chance. With one of the people dead in an instant, everyone paled at the sight. Everyone that was fighting Zarban is all fodder. Waiting for the top rankers to arrive, all these people could do was stall for time. Everyone. Use a blood sacrifice. A blood sacrifice is a dangerous drug. Once taken, your body's strength and mana will grow incredibly. Depending on someone's talent, they would increase their strength by 2 to 3 times. But the drawbacks of the drug were something most people couldn't handle. The reason why the drug was called blood sacrifice was that the drug weakens your heart functionality. One could imagine what would happen if that were to be taken. Not only would you be weakened by a large degree, but you might also be considered a cripple for life. Everyone knew that this might be their final fight. But fighting against an invader this strong was their only choice. Taking the drug, the strength of everyone increased by 2 or 3-fold. Zarban had killed another one before they could take the drug. Do you think I would allow you to do that without doing anything? After killing the one taking the drug, Zarban threw his spear at another. The spear had penetrated and made a hole in the man's stomach. 7 were left, but they were now ready to fight. On the other side of the battlefield, the other troops attacked everything. Some top rankers had already arrived and had killed some troops. But not everything was bright. Some of the lizard men's troops were killed, and some of the top rankers were. An example would be overall ranked number 89. He had sacrificed himself and caused an explosion killing 5 of the troops. This battle was brutal. London was already destroyed, and most civilians on the battlefield had already died. There are currently 85 lizard men left, and the strong ones are all alive. Back to the battlefield with Zarbon, only 5 were left. Zarbon had taken some scratches, but most were already on their last feet. Warriors, I commend you all for your fighting spirits, but this fight is finished. What? Zarbon had disappeared from his spot and decapitated the woman, shaken by what Zarbon had said. After killing the woman, he proceeded to do this to the next. In just a few seconds, everyone that he fought had died. He then flew back to his king and stood by his side. Zarbon, you have disappointed me. As my second command, you took too long to finish those bottom feeders. They weren't even someone who we should be wary of. My liege, they make perfect use as a training practice. Olorino sighed at his second-in-command antics. He then scanned the battlefield, waiting for an opportunity to join the fight. Some of his men may have been killed, but he didn't care. He may be a king, but he did not need some weaklings. This invasion was for training purposes and for him to plunder more resources. Olorino is arrogant. He truly believed that no one in this world would be able to defeat him. He then smiled, sensing a challenger worthy of fighting. Chapter 25 Lizard Man Invasion, Part 1, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Tristan POV, seeing that an invasion would happen on my big day was a shocker. I can't help but give myself a wary smile at this happening. Was this karma? Ever since the accident 6 years ago, I couldn't help but hate myself. My sister, who I love dearly, had been hurt because of me. I was shocked to see that my sister had brought her boyfriend. Observing them together, a hint of relief came into my chest. The news of my sister being emotionally disabled shocked our parents. I blamed myself for everything that had happened. I was busy on the day of Reina's awakening, but hearing what had happened to my sister caused something inside of me to break. Hearing what had happened to Reina made me want to stay away from her. What if she hates me, was the first thing I thought. What I did as a brother was the worst thing possible. Running away from her had caused us to become distant. I could have made it up to her 6 years ago, but that was now impossible because I was a coward. Knowing that Reina had a boyfriend eased my heart. At least I knew she was capable of loving someone. The invasion had begun, and the destruction caused by the invaders had already caused a huge mess. In front of me was a lizard man. I was confident in my ability to cause harm. But I wasn't proficient in fighting someone with similar strength. You, puny man. I will be your opponent. With the lizard man in front, he shouted at me and attacked. His movement was fast, but it was something I could deal with. Using my skill, I made a particle explosion using my skill at its full power. Right in front of me was the lizard stopping my attack. Gah! My particle explosion had caused immense damage, and the lizard man had blood coming from his mouth. The attack had harmed him, but it wasn't strong enough for me to finish him. Seeing that the lizard man stayed still due to cautiousness, I made another explosion. Arg! This time the explosion I made caused some critical damage. The lizard man was now on his knees, barely able to stand up. To die like this, how unsightly. Saying his final words, the lizard knew that he wouldn't live much longer. There were other things I had to do. I couldn't waste any more time. Doing a final explosion to the lizard's face, the upper half of the lizard's body disappeared. I had killed one of the invaders, but there were still many more. Reina, I hope you're safe. Olorino POV, interesting, that was the only thing I could think of. I had heard that this world was about 200 years old with the system activated. But to think that there was a human worthy of my attention. Our world has double the time to grow, so generally, our strength would be much higher. Warrior of Earth. Tell me your name. Why are humans so close to one another in terms of look? Except for their hair color and shape, they all look the same to me. Constance, Protector of Earth. Third-person POV, Constance was a woman wearing a nun outfit. Her blonde hair and golden eyes radiated on the battlefield. Anyone who saw her would recognize her. She is the definition of a saintess. The woman up in the air is currently the second in the overall ranking in this world. While she may not be the strongest, she would do her best to fight off the Lizard King. Without saying anything, Constance made the first move. Thousands of swords made out of light appeared in the air. Interesting. Olorino laughed at the sight of Constance's power. The thousands of swords targeted Olorino, and with the swords attacking him, he dashed and broke whatever came attacking him. Charles POV, man, I knew invasions were dangerous, but to think a battle in minutes could cause that much destruction. Using my curse, I cursed about 10 of the nearby lizards. My full power is fixed. Whenever I use my curse at 100%, a creepy creature drags my target through the ground. I wonder where my targets would go after being sent away. But I imagine it is not good for them, with their luck at its worst. Hey Reyna, we have been running for 15 minutes. Where are we going? Thanks to Reyna, I have been safe from any fight and crossfire made by these fucking reptilians. The street was half destroyed, and the corpses of people could be found anywhere. Safety. A quick answer from Reyna, but it was enough to know that she wasn't just walking around randomly. Reyna then looked at the sky, and my sight followed hers. What the fuck is that? Up in the sky, I could see some blinding light. The light attacked a lizard, but the damage destroyed the city. The crossfire would have hit anyone near there. I then looked at Reyna and secretly thanked her. If she weren't leading, I would have died for sure. While I had an artifact that would allow me to revive one time, it wasn't something that I would want to use easily. Another lizard was approaching us, but I got rid of him immediately. I don't know if Reyna knew it was my doing or if she hadn't noticed it. Invaders left. 71, it was already impressive that many of the invaders died. I had killed at least 10 of them, meaning my contribution to this fight was slightly higher than 1.3. The fight, on the other side, has attracted everyone. Everyone in that area had run and focused on the fight. With how strong those two people were, it was better to run away from them as far as possible. Reyna, who stopped looking at the fight, ran toward it. Reyna, why are we going in? Chapter 26 Lizard Man Invasion, Part 2, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Reyna. You crazy bitch. She grabbed my hand and dragged me to the battlefield. Reyna has more strength than me in terms of physical terms. So, stopping her was impossible. Reyna wouldn't let me go, no matter what. All I could do was accept my fate of losing one of my lives. Reyna probably also had one, seeing how she wasn't scared at all. You better pay me more for this. Screaming what I wanted next to us, a sword made out of light almost hit us. The power of this seemed to be someone from our world. This was almost a friendly fire. I didn't want to go any further. Beov, Reyna, where are we going? Please tell me. This whole thing was an emotional roller coaster. Even though I lived a shitty life, I don't want to die now. Reyna ignored me and ran toward the battlefield. After a few minutes of running, Reyna found what she wanted. And what we found was Tristan. He was on his deathbed. His body was badly mangled, and healing him would be hard. Reyna used her skill to find her brother. What are you going to do to him? I doubt you need me to kill him. This was the perfect chance for Reyna to kill him. Tristan was there unconscious. Effortless for even a kid to kill. Third-person POV, the battle between Constance and Olorino raged on. Only 5 minutes had passed, and the two were still fighting vigorously. Constance's light magic was still rampant, and Olorino did his best to cleave Constance. Olorino, who thought he would enjoy this battle, didn't have it. You bitch. If you're going to keep running, I'm going to make sure you run for life. Olorino shouted in rage. Constance is the type of person to fight only with her magic. Constance would keep fighting from a distance, not wanting to be in the range of the Lizard King. Foolish. Constance replied, unbothered by what Olorino had said. Floating around in the air, the battle continued. Constance's magic was keeping Olorino at bay. At the cost of keeping Olorino at her side, the Saintess' magic was doing more damage to the city than the invaders. You forced me to do this. Die. The Lizard King wasn't going to take this battle any longer. Constance was feeling the power around Olorino change. She erected a barrier made out of light around her, trying to defend herself against an attack like this. The Lizard King's sword started to glow. Olorino was charging his weapon and began to launch it toward Constance. Charles POV, hey Reina, what's your choice? Reina stared at Tristan. I didn't know what choice she would make. But seeing how she made no moves in a while meant he was safe. I will hear what he has to say before deciding what to do with him. Tristan is lucky. The love that she still has for him hasn't completely faded. Will my geas react to that? Reina could get rid of the geas if we have an agreement, so I wasn't too worried. Deciding on what to do, Reina took a potion from her ring and fed her brother a potion. The injuries that Tristan received were much more significant than one should take. Tristan would take months to recover, and it wouldn't be surprising if he were in a coma. Fuck. Reina and I felt the spike of aura released into the sky. The Lizard King used a move that would potentially destroy the city. We were lucky that the lizard was aiming at his opponent. Otherwise, everyone here would have died, unable to resist the attack. With the attack exploding, everyone around us began to shake. The nearby buildings broke apart, and their pieces fell to the ground. One of the buildings was going to fall on us. Luckily, I had a shield prepared just in case an accident occurred. Reina held her brother and ran to the nearest safe area. I followed her since she knew where the best place was. The three of us escaped from the collapsed building, and the battle within the distance rages on. There was one lizard man near us, but I had gotten him before he could attack us. Even with the potion that Reina had used, Tristan was still in critical condition. His bones were broken. A recovery potion could only do so much. Where are we going next? I wish Reina could communicate. Her being quiet most of the time made me nervous. We're going to see my family. Reina, saying what she wanted, started to walk in a different direction. Even though it was in a different direction, it was still near the battlefield. Half of the reptilians were already dead. And more people from our world are coming in to join the fight. Jennifer POV, everyone at the party had already evacuated into a safe area underground. I should have gotten my babies here with me. What I was worried more about was my son. Reina can predict the outcome of a situation, so her being safe was the least of my worries. Her boyfriend, who was ranked pretty high, should be able to protect her if anything went wrong. But thinking about Tristan made my head hurt. That boy is too stubborn for his good. While he was talented and strong, the invaders attacking would be at another level. Honey, I can't help but worry for Tristan. My husband was at my side, even with him here. I couldn't help but think of my son. Today was his day, but the invaders had to ruin it. I also worry about him, but there is nothing we can do about it. The battle is being recorded, and part of the city has already been destroyed into oblivion. Even though we're watching the fight between the Lizard King and Constance, I wish we could see the condition of our son and daughter. I pray that nothing has happened to them. Chapter 27 Lizard Man Invasion, Part 3, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Third person POV, what is that? Inside the evacuation room, some people noticed something in the fight between the top rankers and some lizard men. Some of the lizard men were sucked into the abyss. Monsters of a horror story would show up once in a while. And they were freaky. Monsters from hell. One man who knew some details about the other world. Even if he muttered his words quietly, it was enough for everyone to hear. Hell. Pa-N, Dan, dot, 0ve1.c0m. The room was quiet. Even if they didn't know what lies in hell, most people here knew it was the worst place to be. The world of hell, a place no one dares to go. Even habitats of the fifth-rank world would not want to go there. You would face strong monsters and an endless wave of them. And to make it worse, the monsters in hell have some powers that make them immortal. What are they doing in our world? Everyone saw that these monsters were dragging the lizard men. The monsters of hell replaced the fear of the lizard men. If one monster from hell were to appear and attack, even the weakest amongst them would be able to wipe out most of humanity. But seeing that the monsters of hell would disappear after taking a lizard man had most people relieved. They won't come to our world fully, right? I hope not. These things scared the shit out of me. We're fucked if they do. A small discussion between the people was made. Some had theorized that these monsters would come, while others tried their best to dismiss them. Nevertheless, even in an attack, the people here are lively. Zarban POV, am I going to die? As a warrior, I pride myself on being the best. My liege was the only exception to this rule. Was my liege wrong? I had heard the news that the world we would invade was still developing. It wouldn't be strange if we raised this world. Our world is near the peak of a first-rank world. My consciousness is fading. The battle between these humans is fun. It's a pity that I would have to die so early. All my limbs were severed. I never expected the strongest human to be such a monster. My liege. Please survive. Charles POV, with Reyna carrying Tristan, she was still faster than me in terms of speed. I was doing my best to catch up to her, but I doubted she would stop just because I was tired. Both Reyna and I stopped. Everything above us had been cut. All the tall buildings were split in half. I can't believe someone could do such a thing. Reyna. Run. Screaming like a bitch, Reyna and I ran with all our might. This is seriously fucked up. I don't want to be crushed by a building. Reyna, with her brother on her back, grabbed my hand and moved me in a direction. With Reyna's skill, she directed us to a hole in a falling building. She had saved me an extra life. I would have thanked her if she wasn't the reason why I was in this situation. But since we survived, we were now trapped in this building. On the bright side, we wouldn't have to worry about anyone fighting us. Is your brother going to survive? He'll, for now. Reyna, are you sure? I looked at him, and he was barely breathing. I checked his pulse, and the beat was one of a man going to die. What next? And give me answers. It's getting annoying when you keep everything to yourself. With a big problem, it is frustrating for Reyna to hide everything from me. I know she has employed me and doesn't need to tell me anything, but she should in a situation like this. She stared at me and looked away. Reyna then looked in a different direction and looked back toward me. We're going to escape from this building and go to the underground shelter where my parents are. Is that all? This is what I only know. I don't know Reyna's skills precisely, but just from her words alone, I could narrow down her skill. Her skill should also have a limit. Then should we start going? Your brother's condition is getting worse over time. Follow me. Going in the direction of where Reyna had looked earlier, I followed her. All the broken equipment inside the building had gotten to one side, meaning the place was almost cleared. Finding a broken window, we quickly exited the building and returned to the battlefield. There were now only 20 lizard men, but the remaining invaders should be more powerful than the rest. Why? Another strong attack had appeared, and a gust of wind had almost blown the both of us away. On Reyna's shoulder, Tristan had flown away, and the both of us could not do anything. Fuck. Now that Tristan was in the air, it was almost impossible for us to retrieve him. Reyna was too shocked to do anything. Tristan is fucked. His mangled body would splat from falling from the sky. Tristan is falling somewhere at a 300 feet building. Tristan, even if I didn't know you well, you were a shitty brother to Reyna. But at least your family will give you a proper burial. Rest in peace. Falling to the ground, Tristan's whole body splat. His now mangled body was now somewhat like mush. It was an ugly sight. Reyna looked disbelieved. Judging by how she looked, she hadn't foreseen this situation. Tristan. Reyna walked toward Tristan's body slowly. Her usual stoic face was now about to riddle into tears. I didn't think that what Reyna said was true. But the emotions that he had lost were now returning. I don't know how this works, but looking at his bloody corpse. Reyna burst into tears. We were still on the battlefield. It was dangerous for us to stay here. But seeing Reyna's condition, I doubt she would leave. Chapter 28 Lizard Man Invasion, Part 4, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Olarino POV, you rat. Now you die. This woman was annoying to deal with. But with this last attack, she would be gone for good. This fight is my victory. Using one of my strongest attacks, I sent a slash capable of slashing space. The woman's name Constance will now finally die to my attack. Gahaha. Victory is mine. A victory never tasted this sweet. Even though my opponent was annoying, she was worthy of my challenge. Since she is dead, no one will stop me. With my attack gone, I saw a figure in the sky. Two people were in the sky, one of whom was the woman I was fighting. How? The woman was unscathed by my attack. How was this possible? I refuse to believe this. Using an attack of the same caliber, I sent another attack. My arms. Looking at my arms, they were cut off. What had happened? I didn't see anything attacking me. But before I could do any more. Third-person POV, Constance, you've grown weak. An opponent of this caliber shouldn't be too hard for you. Cyrus. In front of Constance was a man named Cyrus. Cyrus was a man wearing a black outfit that covered his whole body. Not much was known about him, but he is the first in the overall ranking. Since my job is done, I'm leaving. Wait. Without heeding her words, Cyrus left. The Saintess could only sigh. She knew how Cyrus would act, so she wasn't too angry about it. All of the invaders are eliminated. Defenders ranking. First. Cyrus Morse, second. Charles Anderson, third. Constance Oslin, rewards distributed, Charles Anderson. Constance muttered, seeing an unfamiliar name. She didn't expect someone else to be ranked higher than her. But shrugged it off as she was tired from a long fight. Seeing the destruction she had caused, she couldn't help but sigh. As someone called the Saintess, she had killed too many in this battle. Using her remaining mana, she used her skill and healed everyone in the area. Everyone dying recovered, but it was already too late for the dead. How many people did Constance kill? Even though she did her best to protect the world, sacrifices must be made. With all her remaining mana gone, like Cyrus, she left the city to recover. Charles POV, the rewards were distributed after every invader had been killed. I got second place, and first place must be insanely intense. Rewards calculating, 20.4 invaders killed, reward received, revival crystal received, revival crystal. This item could be used once someone dies. The time limit for its use is an hour. This item was strangely convenient. Reyna, still grieving, was on her knees in front of her brother's dead body. Reyna, if you pay me a lot, I will revive your brother. I read a lot about the Burgess family after visiting them. Their assets are more than trillions of cash. Maybe I could get a few shares after reviving her brother. Reyna then looked at me with tears in her eyes. There was still hope in her eyes, hearing me say I could revive her brother. I will do it. Please, bring my brother back. She then holds my hand tightly, begging me to do so. Her usual attitude turned 180. And judging by how she will act, this would now be her personality. Since she had agreed, she better hold the end of her deal. Taking the revival crystal from my system, I placed it on her brother. I wished Tristan's body was in a better condition. I now had blood in my finger, but the crystal was absorbed into Tristan's body. Both Reyna and I looked at her brother's body. The mushed body was now recovering. His body was reshaped into its original shape. That was a sight to see. Tristan's body was fixed in a matter of seconds. From his injuries, it wouldn't be surprising if he was going to be in a coma. Now that I had used my rare item, Tristan would wake up. Reyna cried again for the second time out of joy. I wouldn't have believed it if I were ever told that Reyna would cry twice. But considering the circumstances, it did. Tristan's eyes began to twitch, and he was beginning to be awakened. Her nervousness could be seen. They haven't had a proper conversation in the last 6 years. And now that I was with them, it couldn't be even more awkward. Reyna. Tristan spoke for the first time after his rebirth. Third-person POV, all of the invaders are eliminated. Defenders ranking. First. Cyrus Morse, second. Charles Anderson, ENV, third. Constance Oslin, to think Cyrus has made his move. Of course, he would. He is the strongest and would defend our world. In the underground, where the other evaluators are located, everyone saw the rewards handed out to the contributors and couldn't help but be amazed at who they saw. Not only that, but the Saintess had also arrived. But who is Charles? I had never seen or heard of him before. Ah! I remember who he is. He is engaged to the Burgess family's daughter. I remember too. I saw both of them holding hands during the party. To think a man as young as him would be that powerful. With the invasion now over, everyone was talking happily. A conversation about Charles was being made left and right. Doesn't that mean Charles was summoning these monsters from hell? Well, shit. We can't piss him off. Let's do everything to get him on our side. That man is right. He might even be stronger than Cyrus in the future. We should assist him early so we can earn a favor from him. Everyone attending today's ceremony was businessmen/businesswomen or essential people of some kind. A woman who knew him, at least for some part, couldn't help but sigh. Her daughter's boyfriend was going to be a new sensation after this event. The woman couldn't help but hope for her daughter to keep that boy. Chapter 29 Internet Forum. Attack of London. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Redditors 4223. Have you heard what happened in London? I heard that most of the city is destroyed. It's crazy how a big city could be destroyed in minutes. Biggerman 12. LOL. Not only did I hear it, but the news of the fight was also broadcasted. Everyone should have seen it, considering how big the news is. Virtual 3123. Man is right. Everyone should have seen it unless you live inside Iraq. But you probably do. At Redditors 4223, Money God. Anyways, have you seen Cyrus? He finished the leader of these lizard men in one blow. That guy never ceases to amaze me. Fried Chicken Lover 2321. Not only that but all the invaders. They couldn't even block a blow from him. Saintess Fan 1 number. Didn't you see the Saintess? She is as beautiful as always. No simps allowed 131. At Saintess Fan 1 number. You need to get a life. Didn't you see how she destroyed the city? Saintess Fan 1 number. At No Simps Allowed 131. Haters like you are irrelevant and stay irrelevant. Hell Enthusiastic 6969. Did you see those monsters from hell? Those things are so cool. These lizard fuckers stood no chance. Illogical 524. Are those things really from hell? They could be summoned monsters that look like they're from hell. But who summoned them? I had never heard of anyone having those abilities. Hell Enthusiastic 6969. Of course, those monsters are from hell. Haven't you seen the portal opening underground? You could see a bit of hell under them. I wish I could meet the one who summoned them. Bricklord 63. At Hell Enthusiastic 6969. You have a weird taste. Those monsters are creepy. Seeing them would make anyone shiver. Mask Draws. Did you see the next Burgess heir? He is so unfortunate. Sensation 20. I bet there is no one more unfortunate than him. Not only did he almost die from the Saintess, but he also flew up from Cyrus's ability. His already mangled body splat. Why do they even have that recorded? Regis 938. I bet the Burgess family would demand some compensation from those two. Even if the Burgess family isn't strong compared to the two, they have many connections. Vex 539. Seeing how they humiliated the Burgess heir, it wouldn't be surprising. I wonder if the two would, and if not, things would get rough. Foxy Hunter 67. Even if the two rankers won't compensate them, their backers will. It won't do them any good to ruin their reputation. W for me. Did you see the reward distribution ranking for London's defense? Someone by the name of Charles Anderson got second in the rank. Higher than the Saintess. Demise Visionary. Isn't Charles just some kid? I heard someone with his name awakened and got a skill earning him the third rank immediately. Link 242525. Well, he is now second on the list. From his skill alone, he probably has some EX.ranking skills. Other than him, only Cyrus and the Saintess have one. Trouble 458. Wait, doesn't it mean he summoned those monsters from hell? Holy fuck. That skill he has is broken as fuck. If he took enough skill.leveling capsules, it wouldn't be surprising if he got first on the ranking board for skill. Super Cool Kid 923. Wasn't he with the daughter of the head of the Burgess family? Does that mean the rumor of him being them engaged is real? Sexy Woman 58. It's a pity he is already engaged, I should have gone for him earlier. Who knew that in weeks, he would have been taken from a big shot already? That guy 42. At Sexy Woman 58. Even if you wanted to be his mistress, I doubt he would take someone like you. LOL. For someone with your name, you're probably ugly. Sexy Woman 58. At that guy 42. I bet you have never spoken to a girl in 10 years. PK Master 93. Shouldn't we talk about how Tristan had revived? Charles should have gotten a revival item from the system. His brother.in.law sure is lucky. Big PP 7438. At PK Master 93. Lucky. He got smashed by two of the top rankers. And even his ceremony was ruined. I bet he would get hit by a truck. I fist your mom 6969. Man. How much money was that revival item? I bet it could easily cost billions of dollars. I wish I could have that item. I love Beatrice's thighs. Since Charles got a revival item, what about the Saintess and Cyrus? Their item should be something as good or better. Dog Paw Patter. We peasants would never get the details out of them. They were the ones that defended us, so no one had the guts to do so. Grudge 364. I feel bad for the people of London. Do we know what world these lizard men come from? I doubt the government wouldn't go to their world for revenge. Over the edge. It would take a while for our world to find where these lizard men are located. Once we find them, we can easily wipe them. Cyrus has already killed their king, and he will also join the raid. With the rewards given for invading a world that would be too irresistible for anyone to give up. If that happens, I wonder if Charles would join. His summoned monsters from hell would indeed dominate them. The world. At Over the Edge. Sheesh, why don't you write an essay, Blue Eyes Blue Dragon? Don't you think Charles is unfair? Not only is he good looking, but he is insanely strong. He also is going into a wealthy daughter. That is so unfair. Leaf Ninja Master. At Blue Eyes Blue Dragon. Not everyone could be like Charles. He is a rare talent but not an unwelcome one. With him here, our world will be safer. Super Monkey Man. At Leaf Ninja Master is right. Not only would we be safer, but the chances of our world being in the second rank will be closer. Haven't you heard? The rewards for our ranking will be much sweeter. We need more talent like Charles. Peerless Sword Crank. At Super Monkey Man. If only Charles had used a sword. That is why Cyrus will also be my #1 hero. Sexy Cat Women. Master. Your babies will be mine. Flipping the table too. At Sexy Cat Women. This is why people give us fans a bad reputation. People like you should stop doing this. Sexy Cat Women. At Flipping the Table too. Bad reputation. I'm only telling the truth. I'm not a fan. Master is mine. Looking at the internet, I could only sigh. Sexy Cat Women. You make my head hurt. Chapter 30 The Epilogue of the London Incident. You are listening at novelfull.audio. That girl sounded like Nene. It was probably a coincidence. It's not like I miss her, but she was oddly convenient in what she did. 2 days have passed since the incident in London, and I have been staying in my room for the last 2 days. Raina and I haven't talked much, but she was spending time with her brother. If I hadn't known her for these last few days, I would have thought she had a brother complex. The reporters that wanted to talk to me were annoying. This was the only place where I could be at peace. I wanted to return to the academy, but it would not be nice, and the rewards I wanted would be gone. Some of my powers were leaked from the reward distribution. But it is not like they know what it is ultimately. Today was when the ceremony for the upcoming head would be rescheduled. Looking out the window, I heard the door to my room had opened. Charles. Raina. The one who opened the door to my door was Raina. Raina had entirely changed since the death and revival of his brother. Looking at me, she was smiling too brightly. Even though she had changed, there was still something inside of her that would never change. She is plotting something again. Getting on top of me, Raina started to kiss me. This time she was vigorous compared to the last time. This is hot. Unlike the emotionless Raina, this one was more expressive. She is much sexier in this state. That was a greeting. You're still as unpredictable as ever. Shouldn't I reward my finance? When did I become your finance? I never agreed. It's the reward you'll receive. I don't see how that's my reward. It would seem like a pain. I would get led by the nose whenever I agreed to her request. Don't you like the money? Marry me would give you 20% of the assets made from our family. And that 20% is a lot. I'm also someone who doesn't spend a lot, so you'll receive most of the cash anyways. What Raina said wasn't wrong. The opportunity was too hard to give up on. Not only would I get money, but also her. There are downsides to this, but the upside is much better. I find her troublesome, but I don't hate her. She also has no bad intentions, so agreeing doesn't seem too bad. Raina, let's get married. I held her hand tightly, and she held mine back. A money sign was in my eyes, looking at her. And she couldn't help but blush at my proposal. Oh my, sweetie, I didn't think your lover would propose this early. Jennifer had arrived at the right time. Her eyes shined brightly, seeing what had transpired. And from what I could tell, Jennifer was not opposed to it. "Sweetie, follow me. Let's make a plan for your wedding. I have some great ideas in mind." Reina's mother took her away, leaving me behind. "So when do I go to the party? I want to chase them, but I don't think I should bother them. I wasn't so keen on going to the ceremony. Going to the ceremony would be too tiring. With the stunt I did 2 days ago, people would crowd me. The only thing I could do was congratulate Tristan. I had a few conversations with him after he had recovered. He was similar to Matthew in some ways, but I see that he sees me positively." Reina, who had forgotten about me, returned and pulled me to the party. As I had predicted, everyone around me tried their best to entertain me. Today is Tristan's day, and his spotlight was getting stolen. I hope this doesn't lower his positivity toward me. Some people were looking to recruit me for their company, but I declined. I had already signed a contract with Lindsay, and it would be impossible for me to do so. With the party's final event, Tristan's speech began. Standing tall on the podium, his aura had been imposing on everyone. Looking sharp for being the next heir, this was something he had to do. "From today onward, I, Tristan Burgess, will become the next head. Like every upcoming head, I hope to succeed and surpass the previous head. What you'll be expecting is changes made to the company. Previous contracts that don't benefit the company will now be null. The rules of the families serving the Burgess family will now be stricter. And some of the families will be removed. Guards. Get rid of them now." Some of the attendees were killed by the guard. About 8 people died from Tristan's command. Screams could be heard, but Tristan immediately silenced everyone. "The people I killed are traitors to the family. Not only did they sell some information about the family, but others took some of the funds without permission. I didn't think Tristan could be that bold to kill in public. But with the proof there, no one could blame him. He is showing that he would be ruthless to his enemies. There will be more changes, but that is all for now." His speech was finished, and the ceremony had ended. There was an after-party, but I didn't want to attend it. Charles. Tristan had come to my room, and he seemed tired by the looks of it. From what he did today, he had to talk to hundreds of people. No one should do that much. "I thought you would attend your after-party. Sorry, but I also have my limit. And you're leaving first thing tonight. I have a few things to say to you before you leave. I still haven't thanked you properly for reviving me. Without that, I wouldn't have untied the loose end with my sister. I also want to thank you for accompanying my sister and making her happy. She had suffered a lot, and it helped to know someone was out there looking out for her. That's why I thank you. This is the first time someone sincerely thanked me. I didn't know how to feel, but I can't say it wasn't good. Here is the fee for the revival item. There are $50 billion. All the information will be on the card." Later. Tristan left just like that. But $50 billion on my hand just like that. What a good day.